Hey guys, welcome back. Robocraft early access coverage. This is episode 17. I'm Enigmius, and today it's the Spider Bee. That's the name of our bot that was actually given to us by a viewer who had some great sketch work of the Spider Bee that they showed in the thread where I showed the vehicle, and I loved it. So now you can even see it's official. The back of the bay. Bay 3 is Spider Bee. And this is the bot. Now, obviously, the biggest change that we've made is the position and the orientation of the legs. They don't do the side sweeping motion anymore. They actually work front to back, and they work extremely well. In fact, I can't imagine ever going back to all legs on the side anymore, having seen what these guys can do like this. The main issue that I was having, some of you saw it, some of you commented on it, was the landings. And pointing out my tendency to do things face first when it comes to the landings. And in some cases I do that. I actually do a really botched landing where I fly face first into a cliff or even the barrier around the outer edges of the map. And in that case, I don't blame the vehicle for my own dumb flying into things poorly. But when it comes to landing, you have to nose down to land. This is not an airplane with flaps. You have to nose down to get the vehicle onto the ground, and then from there, it just always seemed to want to flip over onto its back. Now, part of that was not letting off on the thrusters up here soon enough, making it want to kind of topple over. I have the ones down here, kind of lower center of gravity, but these are up pretty high, and I tried relocating them, and I just couldn't find room in there without a major overhaul that I just didn't really want to do right now. But the legs, because of the way things work, now, when this thing first touches the ground, the legs spring out of their retracted position and almost immediately seem to catch the vehicle and kind of lift the nose and keep it from toppling over, which is fantastic. It gives us that mobility that I wanted without the embarrassment of always flipping over. I still do from time to time, though. Gotta be honest about that. New rudders upgraded from tier 6 to tier 8 gave us a little bit of extra control, nothing major, but a big increase in armor value relative to the old ones, because they were tier 6, the old ones, I think. Because they extend out from the vehicle the way that they do, having them with a little bit of extra armor is never a bad idea. Also, the legs, you may notice, are upgraded as well. They're the next higher tier. I'm not sure what tier that is. Let's find out. Tier 8. We had tier 7 before, now we've got tier 8. That makes sense. I unlocked tier 9 thrusters. I tried to fit them on the vehicle. I can't. There's not enough room without a major overhaul, just like I can't relocate these, because you look at these and you say, wow, there's all that space around them. And then you look, all that space is actually taken up by blocks and things like that. And if it's not taken up by blocks, it's taken up by railguns. So that kind of limited us. That's fine. We'll have some thrusters for the next build ready to go. If I could, I would love to build this area out more. You can see these blocks that the legs are on are very out there. You can practically see them from a mile away. I would like to build that out when I have the CPU. As we continue to level up, then that's going to be one of my priorities for this build, is we're going to build out the legs a little bit so that they're a little bit better protected. Overall, very happy with it, and the best way to demonstrate how the vehicle performs is to get into the matches. So let's do that now. Now, this match is one of the first matches that I did after I got all of the renovations done on the bot. We relocated the legs, we moved some things around, we built up the armor in some places. And now this is really our opportunity to get into the thick of things and see how it performs against something that's not an AI tier 1 bot. One of the things that I love about this bot, and that we had in the other bot as well, is the vertical takeoff. Beginning of the match, you jump and then you just hit forward and you go. You don't have to worry about the runway that the game gave you, which quite often is infuriatingly small and not at all practical. But we do what we can. This is a good spot early in the game to get a feel for how the enemy is sort of distributing themselves around the map. I'm trying to focus on the spotting component of things for right now, and then switch to the support fire, hopefully in the not too distant future, but heads up, I make a mess of the whole thing. There's the plasma, I think that's a plasma drone, believe it or not, is what it was classed as. and I'm trying to hit him, but he's basically at the very edge of my maximum range. I can't actually hit him even if I were to shoot exactly where he is, because he's too far away. That's something to keep in mind about plasma. It seems to be super long range, but it's not unlimited range. Another thing that I noticed that you'll see right now is that this vehicle is not sloped like the previous ones were, so the deflection on the guns goes back to being very, very poor. And by not correcting for that, this is what we get, where I'm aimed in on these targets, but I'm shooting over them, and that's because the crosshairs are showing where I'm looking, but the guns are shooting where they can shoot, and that's not as far down as I would have liked. Now these guys, a couple of them have spotted me, and I'm thinking to myself, well, now that I'm spotted, it would be a good idea to move, and this is a mistake, because rather than relocating to a tactically sound position, I'm basically retreating, and the situation wasn't so bad that I needed to worry about it. I haven't actually taken any fire yet. They just spotted me and then went about their business. What this means is the problem that I was having with the drone at the beginning of the match being at the outer edge of my range is now the problem that I'll be having with these guys that I used to have a clean line on, because I made the mistake of thinking, oh, I have to relocate, so I'll move backwards. What I should have done is moved to the right-hand ridge, give it relative coordinates. It's along the north of the map. There's a very wide ridge that's a really great place for a sniper, and it would be a hell of a lot more effective and allow me to contribute more to my team's success if I had done that instead of moving back here. So that's basically the one big mistake that I made, but it sort of determined the outcome for the rest of the match in terms of how many robo points and tech points I wound up getting. The one thing, though, is the mobility is huge as a benefit for this vehicle. For any kind of sniper vehicle to be able to get around and relocate quickly is a real treat compared to, say, the rail sled that I spent so much time in, where you basically were where you were, and usually if you wound up relocating, you didn't survive the process because there was someone out there waiting to jump all over you. So in this case, now I'm finally going to head to the ridge that I should have been on this whole time. It's a little late in the match to really benefit from it, but live and learn, right? We've got a new bot, we're getting a feel for how the bot works, and now we have to kind of get accustomed to the bot and then get down to the business of thinking again in terms of what we're actually doing. A lot of this is, the timid nature of my playstyle is I'm so used to having difficulties with the landings that I don't want to put myself in the thick of things and then just flop over on my back and slide down a hill, because that's no fun at all. But we managed to get this guy up top, and he flew away on his ejection seat, which is... Some people really like it. Some people build an entire bot around the whole idea that the last thing that's going to go is going to be this breakaway ejection module, and they're going to fly away and not be killed. It's a loss is a loss, whether you survive it or not. And this match would be actually the one immediately after the one I just showed you. And it's interesting to see playing them back in the editing process afterwards and seeing the difference in play style and approach after seeing what the vehicle can do and kind of kicking my own butt for being so poorly rewarded for, well, actually I was well rewarded for doing nothing and poorly rewarded for, what I wanted out of the match. So we're going to try and be a little more aggressive, but we still don't want to get forming the bad habit of overextending as part of a strategy. In this case, we can do more for our team by, again, doing a little bit of offensive scouting and then supporting our team as best we can without putting ourselves in a compromised position. You see this guy, he's just kind of sitting there. It looks like he was in the process of spawning in, actually. What a rude awakening that was. And I got spotted, and I think it was actually that guy who spotted me, which is fine. It's smart of him, given the number of people who don't spot at all. The temptation here is to peek over and keep shooting at people, but as a sniper, I get more mileage and more survivability out of waiting a little bit for the little red exclamation point to fade off, and then relocating nearby so I can peek out where people aren't necessarily directly expecting me, and hopefully get some shots off without having to worry about incoming fire. And this is one of those cases. This is actually getting a couple of shots on that guy just over the ridge, and then this guy was a much more attractive target, so we blopped him once. And then back under cover to reload. One thing that I'm kind of trying to do is keep an eye out for flyers that have snuck up on me, because they're just, it's one of those things, especially on this map, they like to just crest over the ridge and then down, and before you know it, you're in very, very serious trouble. So we come over here, and this guy, he's going to use his flipper. You know, sometimes you got to take that chance. If you're not mobile because you're on your back or your side or something, it's either you use the flipper or you don't, and either way there's a really good chance you won't survive. That got me a kill, so we're happy about that. And now I'm realizing that we're probably going to win by cap, and there will be more points for me to assist in that cap than for me to fly around looking for the remaining enemy players. And I see this guy's got his healing going, so I intentionally fly high and then nose over. I know you guys are going to be like, damn it, you botched another landing. That was big. I could have done, I probably might have been able to come in a little bit lower and manage it properly, but I didn't want to interrupt the healing in case there were enemies nearby, and the guy that was getting the heals would have been able to get the shot off that stopped his own doom. I don't know. It seemed like the courteous thing to do. Now this match I'm including just for laughs, because it was one of those things where I got a little bit complacent with how many enemies were around. One of the things with this map is that every time I'll come over to this ridge right here and set up and do some scouting and maybe take a few shots at some flyers. I'm not really worried too much about the ground units, but it's a good idea to be aware that they're there so that we don't do things that put ourselves in a compromised position. And again, when you're a railgun that relies on preferably having an elevated position over the enemy, having your mobility taken away from you by a bunch of plasma or whatever can be a really, really detrimental thing to the rest of the match. So that guy was having some issues with the leg. And by the time I got a clean shot on him, the bad guys were all like, hey, that guy up on the ridge, he's shooting at our friend. And that's basically the match for me. They got all of my legs except for one. So I'm thinking to myself, eyes up. I've still got plenty of guns. I can still be, you know, an asset to my team from the ground. But it would be really nice if I could meet up with my team and either get some healing or at least be around some fire support so that I don't have to worry about one plasma tank or SMG tank just driving around the corner while I'm reloading and ending me. And I'm trying to do this on one leg. And I do have some thrusters, but the thrusters, if I use them for too long, they want to flip me over. So I flip over, and then I use the thrusters until I can't move anymore with the thrusters. And then I use the flipper to flip over back on the leg. And it's this endless cycle of the cripple walker. You can see the guys down at the bottom of the hill. They're right there. I just want to be with my friends in my last few minutes before the end. And then right away, flip it over. No. And the thrusters aren't helping, so we stop with the thrusters. We try the flipper. The flipper, we're over. We're good. And now we got to carefully, without, and just immediately flipped over again. And this whole time, my team is basically sweeping around, beating up the enemy, getting farther and farther away from me. It doesn't get any better. It doesn't get any better. Then this guy, he's like, hey, I got all 4 legs. Hey, how's it going? Hey, you, I'm gonna get in your way and just sit there. What do you expect me to do? Get out of the way? I'm on my back with 1 leg, asshole. Then here, we finally crest the ridge. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to let that guy up there take me out. Because it would be so easy. I can barely move. Got a little bit of extra RP for the match. And then we've got guys up on the top of this path. I don't know if we'd call it a road or a ravine or something. And before we can get close enough to help, we're on our back, which is, we can still move, but we can't shoot much when we're on our back. So the next episode, probably going to do some more match footage once I've had a chance to get used to the bot as I'm getting ready to start our next build. So if you want to be notified when I add that video, as always, the easiest way to do that is to subscribe to my channel and or follow me on the social media. Links for that are in the information section below the video. Please leave your comments and feedback. They're always helpful. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.